Alright, welcome back to another E7 video. Today, man, let's just take a look at the warfare rule changes that we had, right? Because I seen a lot of videos, I seen a lot of people, a lot of videos, like when I'm sitting in streams and stuff, I seen a lot of people saying, I think nobody's wrong, but I don't think I think some people are undervaluing some of these things. So let's go talk about it. Of course, you can correct me down below I'm wrong, but hey, let's go. So the fall season also marked the first implementation of the warfare rules system. As mentioned in the previous infographic, alright, the purpose of introducing warfare rules was to expand upon the battle frenzy system, allowing heirs to experience more varied battle patterns within a single season. However, this is the first season we determined assigning overly powerful rules from the outset could create an excessive hurdle. Some rules were therefore set conservatively and some not. Alright? Though we acknowledge that this resulted in an uneven value across the rules. To improve on these points, several rules have been newly configured for the second season. 4 warfare rules applied to the spring 2026 season are as follows. Spring. Alright. Let's just skip winter. Alright. Anyways, I guess they go from where it's ending. I don't know. Yeah. As follows. Okay. Offense rule. Alright. This one. When attacking, and I'll read this one slowly also. When attacking, right, damage dealt increases proportional to the target's injuries by up to a maximum of 50%. Okay, 50% extra damage dealt is actually increased damage dealt is actually a lot of damage. What? I've heard people say even higher level players than I am, higher ranked players than I am, say that this only benefits injury units. It only benefits ML Shu and Valencia and A Ravi. And so I think I've heard some people say something about DDR or things like that. And then, but really and truly, guys, look at this. Really look at that. Let's see. Alright. And I'm not saying that ML Shu and those units are not benefiting from it. That's not what I'm saying, no. But let's just give you a scenario, okay? If ML Shu goes, let's just say this for the sake of the video, right? So it's easier to visualize. Let's just say ML Shu skill 3 turn 1 does 50% injury to a target. Let's just say it does that, right? Then it could be and you have, let's say, a free run coming behind the Shu, right? That free run, and let's just see that free run is obviously if she's pressing street, she's getting an attack buff, right? She's getting an attack buff, which is 50% extra attack, and she's going to be doing 50% extra damage because that unit is 50% injured, right? Let's add a defense break on top of that, and you doing just insane amounts of damage, right? Insane amounts of damage from a unit that already hits hard. So I think this is the part that people are ignoring, that yeah, injury units are going to benefit from that. Injury units are going to benefit, but they're not seeing the fact that they're also going to become like sub DPSs, like damage buffers for their team as well, for other harder hitting units on their team. Because when they injure you, whoever is coming behind them following up is also benefiting from this damage. So you got to think in that way. If you have a fast unit, let's say Zahak, you have Zahak's skill 2 pushes somebody up, right? You have Zahak going, he's gonna go apply 40% injury to a target, right? Apply 40% injury to a target. The unit that he pushed up, let's say it's a DPS, they'll just keep talking about the free rank, because a lot of people use free rank, right? A lot of people came here for the free rank collab, so it's better to just use her as an example, right? or Hecate or whoever, right? The unit that is coming right behind that injury unit is gaining that 40% extra damage, right? On top of whatever else buff and debuff, like defense break, attack buff, anything like that, right? So I think that's the part that people are missing out. Like injury units are also going to become not just doing more damage over time, but they're also going to become kind of pseudo supports, sub DPSs for pseudo support slash buffers for your other DPS characters to carry. That's kind of crazy when you add like a pen set on top of that or torrent set on top of that damage or anything like that. Like, dude, it could be good, but as many people say, like, we don't know if this is going to change the meta. But I think that second part people aren't thinking about, right? Defense used to be 30% anti-pen or penetration resistance. Now it's 40% damage reduction to ranger heroes. Okay, so that girl, A-Flan, got a buff again, I guess. She got a buff with the repose set. Now she's getting another buff. All right, she has 100% evasion, and now she has 40% damage reduction. Okay, very, very lovely. SSB. I don't know if there's room for her, but SSB also has damage reduction up to 40%. It does not say in her passive that it doesn't stack. I heard people say it doesn't stack, but there's nothing in her passive that says it doesn't stack. Like usually when you have something like that, and I have my game open so I can double check it, but it doesn't say like, and I'm like, okay, when I was target focus, team focus, and it activates. Okay, now usually when there's like a damage reduction, damage sharing thing, it will say like strongest effect applies or something like that, right? But it doesn't say that, so I'm assuming it stacks. If it doesn't, no, well, but I'm assuming it stacks since it doesn't say that. The only thing, another thing as well, is this stacks with Aureus, because Aureus is damage sharing, this is damage reduction. So you get, if you have A-Flan and you have an Aureus holder on your team, or Lady of the Scales with a 70% thing, if I don't know why they will let you play that, but just for the sake of the video, they have that. You have 70% damage reduction, and you have damage sharing, and you have damage reduction. So it's a lot of things. And maybe Fern could see a little bit more play, because that unit is very unsafe to play with her barrier. With the 40% damage reduction, and if you add in an Aureus, maybe she can live a bit longer and do some things, but she still has the problem where people just ignore her, right? So we'll see. We can, and this applies to all damage, right? Like fixed damage and everything. This is damage reduction of all sources. Weakening. At the end of each turn, detonates burn, bleed, and bomb effects. Okay, this one is a little bit controversial, I guess, because I've heard people say it was the same as it was before. It's not the same. It's not the same, guys. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Listen, the one that we had before they changed it, right? When they were testing it out, it was 50% extra damage to burn, bleed, and bomb, right? No. Bombs and every effect like that, when you detonate them, yes, they gain a 50% damage, right? They gain extra 50% damage, but that 50% was stacking on top of the detonate. That's why Veronica was like popping off like crazy, because the bomb was already going to do 50% extra damage, and then you detonate it. So it was like, even if it's additive or multiplicative, it was just a lot of extra damage, right? Now you don't have that. It's just a base detonate, but it's a little bit more versatile. And let me give you a scenario where I think it's kind of crazy. Although I'm giving you perfect scenarios, right? It's not always like that, but let's say somebody goes Ran Caesarea, right? Ran goes, he presses his skill 2, then he presses skill 3, Soul Burn, whatever. He lands all his debuffs, defense break, restrict, and whatnot, right? Now, defense A defense break, if you guys don't know, actually helps bombs damage, right? But this is what's gonna happen. Rand's gonna press a skill 3. Cesaria's gonna activate her passive that puts bombs on them, and when Rand ends his turn, even if it lands on your cleanser as well, it's GG's, because when Rand ends his turn, it's gonna blow up, stun all your units, stun all your units, do the damage from the bomb, and your defense broken, so you're taking a lot of extra damage from it, right? And it's kind of like what was gonna happen with P-Flan when they gave her that defense break, right? The defense break into the bomb was gonna be disgusting. It's kind of like that, right? And then now Caesarea is gonna push up, take her turn, and because you're already stunned and defense broken, now she can just freely soul burn because she has that EE that gives her like soul. But she has a soul burn for free, and she has also the auto detonate, which you can switch it to something else, right? You can switch the auto detonate EE to something else. But she has that free soul burn on skill 1. If she has more souls, then she can do whatever, right? You soul burn into a unit with a defense break. He already was defense broken and took a lot of bomb damage, and he's stunned, and he's still stunned and defense broken. You and they're restricted, right? So if they have like an element now, she's not pushing up or anything like that, right? So to try and get out of the stun. She's gonna soul burn into you, your defense broken, plant another bomb, boom, it blows up. Soul burn into somebody else, their defense broken, stunned, plant another bomb, boom. That's a lot of damage, man. Something like a P-Flan. If P-Flan goes and presses skill 3 and she's on Star of the Deep Sea, she's gonna end her turn. Oh no, now your cleanser cannot push up and try to cleanse the bombs with Eternus or whatever. She's gonna get stunned immediately. Alright? She's gonna get stunned immediately. Things like Executioner Shuri, Dark Shuri, with a unit in the back, if you can get like the team's immunity off and land some bombs, it's gonna go crazy, right? It's gonna go crazy. So Caesarea Rand, that combination could be disgusting that's a perfect scenario, right? It's a perfect scenario. And I think it is disgusting to even think about that. I'm not gonna lie. And finally, resistance is staying the same. Yeah, it's staying the same. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the new warfare rules. I think some of them are a little bit overlooked. I'm not saying that they're wrong. Obviously, yes, MLSU and stuff is going to get stronger from this, but they're not thinking about the units who are going to go into that injured unit. They're also going to be doing more damage, not just the injury applier, right? Not just the injury applier. Ranger, this one for now, A-Flan is going to just terrorize the place a little bit more, alright? And then there's probably a Ranger that's going to come out to take advantage of that, right? And then weakening, I think some people are sleeping on this just a little bit. It's not the same damage that we had before, but it's more versatile. So I guess it's almost the same trade-off. But yeah, I can see that Rand Caesarea combo. If it's allowed, it's not gonna get allowed against like players who know what they're doing. But if it's allowed to happen, then and especially if you're in lower ranks and you can't fight that, then you're dead, buddy. You're done. You can't do nothing. You're not even getting to play the game, right? Resistance is staying the same, so there's no changes there. But yeah, that is that definitely. I don't know if it's gonna change the meta. I don't know if these are gonna change the meta, but it's gonna make things maybe a little bit more fun. I don't know. We can see actually this injury thing is funny as hell, because I remember some people used to run injury Setsuka. You can see the injury Setsuka come back though. You can see the injury Setsuka come back into play. That is gonna be funny. Alright. Well, yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one.